Chapter 5. The Journey Begins. We go back to the New York crew. They head out through the fire escape just as their rooms are busted into again, and the group from last night. This time with vengeance and a shotgun. Which, while we're on the subject, at this point in the book, we've already gotten a large complaint about New York's draconian gun laws, where it makes it so hard to get a weapon of any kind that the reason Evan and Jason were able to get the better of the people who broke into their room is because these laws are so strict, there was no possible way that these guys might have a gun. Yet, in less than, I'm going to be nice and assume a full 8 hours, these guys are able to secure a shotgun to attack the group with. This is not the first instance of somehow having a gun, despite these super strict gun control laws, that it's totally infringing upon their rights. They escape the hotel and begin to walk the streets, when Bird suddenly realizes, there's literally no difference between our two heroes, so he suddenly tries to interject Jason by interject some character into Jason by giving him the catchphrase, Roger, Roger.
Roger, 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 Roger.
Damon also has a bum knee that is pointed out, and he appears to be limping pretty bad because they had to leap from the last level of the fire escape to get free. But this is pointless. It never comes up again, never harms them, and as far as they know, it's like walking behind someone really slow. It's notable, but at the end of the day, you didn't suffer that much for it. It's also about this time that they find out that DHS has been deployed into the city and is attempting to make people give them their food for stockpiling, with Evan going into another long political rant about how executive orders 10998 and 10999 give the president the power to do this. Which, I looked them up, but I don't have enough politics to call bullshit on this or not. So someone with a political degree, tell me if that's true. Because from what I read, it doesn't sound like the DHS will suddenly have the power to walk into people's homes and take their food and water and stuff. They continue, and then they enter, in the book's words, an economically depressed area. And this is where I'm going to have to talk about this. As you saw the trigger warning earlier, this book is among many things sexist, classist, just pick up something that conservatives are known for and you'll probably get it. It's also racist. It's not in your face, outright screaming bad words racist. It tries to be subtle about it, with Evan even outright commenting that, no, I'm not racist. I have completely logical and founded reasons for not liking this economically poor place that I'm not going to call a ghetto, even though that's exactly what I want to say. But no, let me assure you, they are racist. It's not subtle enough to be brushed off. And now I'm going to preface this by saying something here. Only one character is ever given an ethnicity to latch onto, and I think that's by design. And you'll see it soon. It's awful. So that's going to come with another trigger warning. But it's impossible to ignore that every character that's good or on the side of the heroes is 100% meant to be an upper middle class white person. The only person that's given the ethnicity is that one person. And again, I will talk about that soon, because it's the only person whose ethnicity I will mention. But Evan consistently refers to economically depressed areas as crime-ridden hellholes filled with the worst kinds of people, city rats, who he hates with a passion and thinks they're worse than if actual zombies existed. Trust me, it really isn't that subtle. You know what? Another good example. Anytime someone comes up to them wanting their help for any reason, unless you can probably say that they're an upper middle class white person, again, I will give the benefit of the doubt here because no ethnicity is ever given beyond that one. They will go out of their way to help characters named Judith, Bill, Jim, and I know those names can belong to anyone. Just they go so out of the way to help them, and if anyone else even comes up to them asking for help, they pull a gun and they continue through this area, where they're accosted by a group of thugs. The thugs claim there's a toll on this road, and the leader brandishes a metal pipe as a weapon. So Evan and Jason immediately pull their guns out and shoot him several times, along with his two friends, who, again, despite New York's draconian gun laws that make it impossible to get a gun, they also have sawn-off Mossberg shotgun. Which also calls into the question, why was the lead thug threatening some guy with a lead pipe instead of one of the shotguns? I mean, whatever. Let's skip this Let's skip this plot hole and go on to the takeaway here. Evan and Jason come off like sociopaths. I'm just going to have a couple of these lines read to you guys, which I will remind take place shortly after they've killed 3 more people in this book. And you tell me if these people sound like they're right in the head.
Evan and Jason were both high on an adrenaline rush like they had never felt. They wanted to finish off the whole group, but since the men turned coward and ran, they knew it was not the right thing to do.
Yeah, I know. I just get caught in things and want to shoot till he drops. I'll get it together next time.
Yep, it's like Marine Corps General James Mattis said. Be polite and professional, but have a plan to kill everyone you meet. With that, Jason turned to Damon and said, "Here, I got you a present." He handed Damon the pistol grip pump shotgun he grabbed from the dead assailant as they ran from the scene. "Thanks," Damon said. He looked it over and said, "A Mossberg 500! Nice!"
Oh, sure. Bird tries to hand wave it later, and even a bit here, claiming that it does take a toll on them mentally to take a life. But he doesn't do it well. This is exactly what he says. The morning events left the crew with a mixed bag of emotions. Their victories in dealing with the scumbags looking for easy play was confidence boosting, and yielded an extra weapon for Damon to carry. However, taking a human life, no matter how worthless, you can't sit there and say taking a life haunts them, but then proceed to call that life a worthless. Because it's obviously not worthless if it's haunting them. But even then, that's 2 chapters later from this. And by then it's too little too late. Not only did they show no remorse towards the people in the hotel they gunned down, but they never do anything to de-escalate situations either. Never mind that I could also argue that they do nothing to de-escalate situations. And they did effectively gun down people without knowing they had guns. Oh, I'm sure that if Evan got that criticism, he would have voted that they knew immediately the strange lumps in their coats and bags were shotguns. But from us, I went back and read this section 3 times to be sure. From our point of view, the toll group never had guns until the leader was shot first. Then they proceed to mock Peggy's horror that they keep killing people and are actively planning the next time they kill someone shortly after these kills, while Damon celebrates getting his hand on one of the thugs' shotguns.
Next time, Peggy shouted. What's wrong with you two? Why does everything have to end in a gunfight? Jason responded sharply. Peggy, we could let you negotiate for us next time some dirtbag wants to rob us and does who knows what else.
So yes, in short, our heroes suck and they are relishing their kills. Chapter 6, The Jones Home. Another cutaway chapter back to when it started, this time to Jason's wife and kids. And though we get a little more from the point of view about how things went down, it ultimately is another pointless chapter where Arthur just expo dumps, again, how prepared Jason was for this and how totally not insane he was to create a massive stockpile of weapons for the day that he'll have to shoot his neighbors. Chapter 7. The journey continues. We go back to the New York group as they continue through the streets. The crew continues forward, citing that Peggy's fragile emotional state and not wanting to watch them kill every person who provides even the slightest bit of resistance to their travels as reasoning to why they're pushing themselves so hard. This is also where we get the part where classism rears its ugly head the most. It's clear that Bird has never been poor, nor does he probably actually know any poor people. Oh, I'm chipping my pen a little. Anyways, nor does he actually know any poor people. Apparently in Bird's world, if you're poor in 2 days without constant access to supermarkets, you'll be out of food and water, forced to beg for food on the side of the road by them. I've been poor. I know what it's like to live with a family that's living paycheck to paycheck. And I can tell you, if this happened while I was poor, I would not be starving within the first 2 days of the conflict. Part of being poor is buying what you need and some excess to support yourself as cheaply as possible. You have to stock up because if something does happen and you can't get to the store the next week because you have to work some extra days or work more overtime and have no energy to go to the store, you don't want to starve in the very scenario this happens. So yeah. Oh, but don't worry, this ain't the worst the chapter gets. You see, after they pass through the poor people neighborhood, they come to a park where they decide they're going to rest a bit and have a nice little picnic. In order to make sure they're safe, Evan and Jason scout the area. And while Jason scouts, he comes across the horrible scene of a young Hispanic girl, remember what I said, no older than 15 or 16 by the book's own words, dead. Now, I'm not going to read the passage because, frankly, it's in horrible taste. I'll put the page on screen for about 5 seconds. If you want to pause and read it, that's on you. But remember, this following trigger warning is attached to it. Now, when I read this scene, all sense of ironic enjoyment I had up until this point just vanished. This scene, this trope, this whatever you want to call it, disgusts me. Why? Because the way it's used, this horrible act that is committed in this scene, is arguably one of the most horrible acts you can inflict upon another human being. This act happened to a young teenage girl. The only person in this entire book whose ethnicity is outright stated. It isn't used for anything more than shock value. The scene doesn't exist for any other reason than to have Bird have his character clench their fist, grit their teeth, and want bloody revenge for whoever committed this act. Just to show how awful the world really is and how morally superior our white bread heroes are. There is no point in this. It's here for shock value, and shock value alone. And I absolutely despise when something like this is used only for this reason. Let's move on before I pop a blood vessel. Here, have a quick palate cleanser. So anyways, after Jason sees this, they decide to forego the lovely park picnic that they had planned because, the murdered teenagers just killed the mood. And continue on. They hide from a DHS truck. Evan gives another speech about the evils of the government that don't agree exactly politically with him. And we get another laugh around the water cooler moment. And then we come to a trio of DHS moments. We get a trio of DHS agents taking all the food from a nearby store. Since the DHS are bad guys, they're basically faceless goons who shoot a young teenager when he attempts to grab a loaf of bread from the back of the car. And then, so you can feel extra bad about it, gun down an old man and a young woman when the crowd begins to flee. So the group decides to ambush these three DHS agents, killing 2 of them, stealing their weapons and armor, and leaving the last one to be viciously killed by mob justice while arming the crowd who was shot at and then fleeing in the armored truck of the DHS agents. After that, they travel for a bit. Evan spouts off some more about how the only good people in the government are the Oath Keepers. Do I even need to say anything? Do I? After that, after they use the truck for a bit, they ditch it, get to the docks, find out that Damon's brother's boat is actually a fair distance out, and decide to bed down in a nearby gazebo in the night in order to avoid detection. Even though I'm 90% sure that it would be more dangerous for them to remain in place like this, not too far from where they ditched the truck that they stole from 3 murdered agents, and maybe just go out to the boat now. But whatever. I mean, let's just wait for the DHS to widen the search grid. This is where I will pause this section as well. These chapters are arguably the densest of the ones, and hopefully the next few sections will be able to. I'm gonna try to make it just 2. And it may be an epilogue, because I don't want this to stretch on too long. But I am going to hope that I manage to finish this up in the next few. So anyways, like I said before, if you like this review so far, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to tune in for the next one. It doesn't get better. It just gets... You just become numb to it. But yeah. I'll see you guys again next time, maybe. Bye-bye.